You've heard me say many times that meaning determines all behavior. So what is the meaning of this thing we call freedom? Khalil Gibran said, "I have seen the freest among you wear your freedom as a yoke and a handcuff." Freedom is so valuable that we will literally enslave others in order to keep it, and in so doing, it blinds us to the truth. I put it to you that true freedom means embracing all of our humanity. To be totally free requires us to see things as they are and not really as we would wish them to be. To be free requires us to be fully accountable to every aspect of our life and all of who we are. To be free means being accountable for who we've been and even the societal mask that we've worn. To be totally free means letting go of our attachments to things, to relationships, to potentially false beliefs and identities that we've been attached to. To be totally free would require us to not settle. To be totally free may require you and I to question absolutely everything. And when I say everything, that includes beliefs, values, fears, motives, actions, intentions, even our very own dragonfire. To be free requires us to be courageous, to deal with our freedom in a healthy manner. This includes not making others think of what they think of me, not making that none of my business. To be totally free requires me to remove myself from the tyranny and the oppression of other people's opinions of me. To be truly free requires all of us to do whatever we can to free each other from any form of tyranny, whether that's the tyranny of an oppressive government, culture, or even a broken justice system. But at a personal level, I must also free you from my expectations of who I think you should be, or even who I believe you could be. You see, to be free requires me to continuously know myself at ever deepening levels, to enter into the cave that I fear to enter, to look into the shadows of who I've been and who I sometimes am. When I started my internal journey, I had no idea that I was actually afraid of this thing that I wanted, my freedom. So what do we do when fear actually stops us from being free? Well, the behaviors we do, remember, behavior is determined by meaning, so what do? We separate. We play the mind game of us versus them. We point the finger of blame. We make others responsible for our apparent lack of freedom, and we compromise our hearts, our souls, and our values. We accept the limitations and the lies that we've been told about who we are and even the pain we feel. That way it doesn't seem like it's our responsibility for our lack of freedom. But Nelson Mandela said, "I knew that if I didn't leave my bitterness and my hatred behind, I would still be in prison." I know it's hard to believe, but even though I didn't know it, I was afraid of freedom most of my life, because freedom requires a deep sense of accountability. It means you can't blame, but you can be certain of this. Freedom means that I am not only responsible for my own freedom, for my own life, and for the lives that I care about, but being free means that I am not truly free while others are enslaved. And even if that's within their own mind. You see, the cost of freedom is I must stop othering. I must stop seeing the world through an ever-shrinking lens of us versus them. You see, I accept my freedom and all that it takes to live it, and I challenge you to do the same. I said meaning determines all behavior. So if your behavior takes from the freedom of others, you may need to at least re-examine the meaning that you've given it. Martin Luther King said, for evil to succeed, all it needs is for good men and women to do nothing. So stand up for those who are not free, even if you've been told that they are the enemy. We all have our bias, but we don't have to live by those biases. So stay curious, my friend. Stay curious and find a way to see all things that we have in common, because those things are far greater than anything that makes us different.